Hello. I've been asked to talk about what's been happening since I gave my TEDx talk and what the future might hold. It's quite difficult to respond to that because we now have the BSL Scotland Act, and that's informing the landscape and will continue to do so into 2021. I'm hoping that will present lots of new challenges and give people the opportunity to think twice and to be surprised, to consider how to improve the future, to campaign, particularly in the areas of education and in language, and to encourage deaf people to aspire and to realise their ambitions, whatever they might be. The second question I've been asked is about the impact of coronavirus on the acting and theatre industries. I think it's definitely had an impact. When we went into lockdown, that affected a lot of theatre and stage productions. And of course, there's the concern of infection across audiences, and the 2-metre distancing rules. All of those have had an effect, and consequently a lot of productions have been postponed and postponed and postponed again. The other side of that coin is that the circumstances have been advantageous to those working in film. They've been making all sorts of films which have been shared on all kinds of media, and so sign language has been visible on a lot more platforms. I'm not personally very strong as a filmmaker or an editor, so I think from here on in, that's my challenge. I have to learn to work with film and with editing and to work in that new way. I've been asked whether coronavirus has affected deaf communities, and again, it's hard to respond to that, principally because since we first became affected by this, I haven't really seen many deaf people. We live at a great distance from each other, and where we often meet is in the deaf club or the deaf pub or at deaf events, and those have either been closed or postponed. We have learnt the advantage of Zoom, and initially that was a great and fun way to connect, and we chatted and that was amazing. But I think we've now all got Zoom fatigue, because what news do you share? We're all not doing anything, we're all isolated, we're all kind of stuck. So that communication has become kind of heavy, kind of stale. If I look back to when we first were hit by this coronavirus thing, our First Minister in Scotland gave daily briefings with a sign language interpreter, so we had access. First Minister's questions was interpreted, so we had access. The British Deaf Association in Scotland gave regular bulletins and digests of what was happening. But in Westminster, I've got to say, shame on you. You're supposed to be administering 4 countries and you can't provide a sign language interpreter. That is appalling. I am ashamed of Britain and the Prime Minister. I mean, my God, come on. This affects so many deaf people in so many deaf communities, and yet again we find ourselves being treated as second-class citizens. This is shocking. My country has been able to provide. In Wales, they've made provision, in Northern Ireland too, and yet in Westminster, nothing. Come on, this is just appalling. I'm embarrassed, or I'm ashamed of that. I'm just going to have to set those politics aside. Personally, I have found, well, I see it outside in the gardens, so in the summer, people are outside in the gardens, in the streets, in queues for shops, in all sorts of places. I found that hearing people had a real advantage because they would be sitting outside in their gardens, socially distanced, having cups of tea, laughing, joking. And I see this around in my neighbourhood very often. And people occasionally try to make an effort to communicate. How are you? Hot weather, isn't it? But I would frequently see in shop queues and everywhere people talking to each other. And that was quite isolating. I mean, try and imagine how it would feel if you lived at quite some distance from other hearing people. And although you had a little bit of sign, when you stepped outside of your house, everybody everywhere was talking in sign language in the streets, in the shops, everyone's signing. And although you tried to make an effort, that you'd get by, and for the first day that was okay, but day after day after day after day, that just becomes grinding. It becomes alienating, and I think that's how I felt, and I'm sure other deaf people have felt the same. I've been asked what my dreams are. What are my dreams? What are my dreams? I dream about this small round thing covered in spikes with little baubles on the top of the spikes, and it's a little evil little creature thing. And that's what I'm dreaming about, coronavirus, the little coronavirus devil. I'm dreaming that that will be eradicated. Meanwhile, stay safe at home, save lives.